Yo, this is Dark, and this is going to be a beginner's guide for anyone who still needs help understand the basic mechanics of all the endgame activities, as well as going over all the pinnacle boss mechanics for those specific endgame mechanics like Breach, Ritual, Delirium, Expedition. With the recent patch that dropped, these bosses are no longer a one and done situation, except for the Delirium mechanic. That is still a one and done. Remember to use your tablets in the towers on your Atlas map so you can juice up your specific mechanic that you want to farm out. Starting off with Breach, this is where you can farm catalysts. These catalysts can upgrade the quality of your rings and amulets. The catalysts themselves will be broken up to upgrade specific modifiers, like you got your fire and your mana and your life modifiers, and it will upgrade the quality of those stats on the rings and amulets. And you'll also be able to farm Breach rings, where the quality of these rings can go up to 50% instead of the base 20. And the ultimate goal of Breach is going to be gain Breach Stone, so you can fight the pinnacle boss within the Breach to get the Atlas points on your Atlas map for Breach. And to do this, you're going to go into the maps showing the pink hand icon on your Atlas map. Once you're in the map, you're going to be looking for the pink hand on the floor. To initiate the mechanic, you'll step on that hand and the demons will start spawning at you rapidly, and you can kill these demons. And there'll also be hands that spawn that you can step on that will also open up and have a chance to drop Breach Splinters. And when you get 300 of these Breach Splinters, you'll be able to create a Breach Stone. Once you have the Breach Stone, you'll use it on the Realm Gate on your Atlas map, and this will take you to the Twisted Domain to fight the Pinnacle boss. Once inside the Twisted Domain, there's going to be a pink hand, demon hand right there. You want to step on it to initiate the encounter, and this will be the first part of the encounter. It's just a little gauntlet you have to run through before the time limit expires. Just make sure you're killing all the demons that spawn like they do in a normal Breach. And you'll keep going through this gauntlet until you get to the very end, which is indicated by all the loot that will drop at the end of it. Once at the Pinnacle boss, you'll be able to fight We That Are One Xesht. So his mechanics, he has a couple of dudes he can pull out of the ground with some demon hands. The first one will be a white, clear looking hand he'll pull out, and it's going to shoot frost bolts towards your location. So if you're close enough to it, you can kind of just spin around it. The other demon will be a blue hand that will do a big AoE lightning blast. So make sure you're getting out of that circle when he's pulling that guy up. And he can also pull these demons up at the same exact time, so you'll have to go away to not get hit by the AoE, and you can actually outdistance the Frostbolt blast if you're just getting shot at from a straight line. He's got his gun ability where he's going to charge up 3 sets of pink balls. Once these balls are all the way charged, it's going to be indicated by like a pink flash that he'll do, and then he'll start shooting these in little intervals. And then when he glows red, he'll do this flick ability where he's going to charge up a sphere that he'll flick at you, and it's indicated by the small purple circle that's going to flash right before he flicks it. During the fight, at times, he'll go underground and just start chasing you if you're close to him. When he emerges from being underground, he'll do like a clap attack that will also like slice the ground, so don't be close. And then his big hand slam ability is going to summon this giant hand that's going to follow you, and you'll see its shadow under you chasing you. Once the outline of the hand turns pink, it's about to slam down on the ground, so make sure you're running away from that. And he'll also do this big fireball that he'll charge up and just like throw in front of him or where you were standing. Then when you get to about 50% health, he's gonna like meditate and phase into phase 2. And during this phase, everything is the exact same, except for now there's gonna be giant arms that pop out of the ground and will slam down on you. And these arms can easily combo you with his other abilities, and they kind of dictate where you need to move in the arena now, because they're gonna be slamming and jamming wherever the hell they want. Alright, next is Expedition. Expedition, this mechanic, you're going to be blowing up a bunch of stuff, and you're going to be collecting a crap ton of artifacts. Expeditions on the Atlas map will be indicated by this blue star icon. Once in the map, you'll find expedition sites, and at these expedition sites, there'll be remnants that will buff monsters, but also buffing your chances of getting better and more loot. And then you'll have monster stakes, the bigger monster stakes being Runic monsters, and they just are stronger expedition-specific monsters. And then you'll have treasure flags that are indicated by the expedition logo, and blowing these up will give you more treasure chests to get more artifacts. So you want to make sure you're placing these bombs that will best suit your build and increase the loot that you can get from the expeditions. Because there are some remnants that will make the monsters straight up immune to specific damage types. And the big ticket items for the expeditions, you're going to look out for all the artifacts, because these are the currency you'll use for the expedition vendors to buy gear. And as well as you're looking out for expedition logbooks, because these are what you're going to use to possibly fight the pinnacle boss. So Expedition has 4 different NPC vendors, and whatever vendor is at the Expedition site in a map, that's going to be the type of artifact that will drop, and it's going to be tied to that specific vendor. So once you've farmed out quite a bit of artifacts and you actually want to buy items, you're going to go to the vendors that are at your hideout location. And those vendors are going to be Tujin, which is, he's going to have belts, rings, and amulets. Then you're going to have Gwen, who's going to sell weapons. And then you're going to have Raj, who has all the different armor equipment for you. And when buying gear from these vendors, you can add or reroll the stats using the artifacts specific to that vendor. And then Dan here will sell all the different artifacts for the vendors using his artifact, which are sun artifacts. And then Dan is also who you're going to talk to once you start getting expedition logbooks. You give him the logbook, you basically pick a location. This location will spawn a map for you. You go inside that map, and this map has a chance to spawn the boss, which is indicated by the skull right here. And this map is basically a huge expedition where you drop a bunch of bombs and get a bunch of loot. And to actually get to the boss, you're going to have to blow up the structure that's on that skull icon, and that will open the doorway to the boss fight. And now for Olroth, Origin of the Fall, his mechanics, he's going to do a slam with the sword, where the sword's going to float in the air and slam down and create an AoE freeze area on the arena for a little bit. So make sure you're not standing on that, otherwise you'll get chilled. And when he glows red, he's going to throw his sword like a boomerang, so it's going to launch out into the air, and then it's going to come back to his location. And then he's got this dash ability where he's just going to lunge his sword at you. His deadliest combo is going to be where he swipes his sword a bunch of times and shoots out waves of frost towards you. This can easily freeze you, so make sure you are dodging this as best you can. And the little expedition symbol that flies around the arena will also do abilities. He'll like shoot this beam that's going to chase you at times, and then other times he'll just shoot like frost bolts at you. And it will also spawn beams of light that will go in and out of the location they were spawned at. And throughout the fight, there's going to be ads that spawn out of the portals around the arena. And when you get him down to 0 HP, the fight's actually not over. He's going to actually get up and initiate phase 2, where his health will go up to like 40-50%. But at this point, you can still damage him as he's resin. And then he does the same mechanics. It's just he gets a little bit more HP. Alright, so next is going to be Delirium. And for your Atlas map, the Delirium logo is the white one that has like the little demon horn logo on it. Once you're in the map for the Delirium, you're going to look for these portals that are right at the very beginning of the map. It's like a glass looking portal thing. You'll run through that and you'll start the Delirium mechanic that way. And all it is basically killing specific demon mobs that are in the delirious fog. And there's going to be shards of glass that will spawn mobs. Once you get close enough to them, they'll break out of the glass and they'll be there. And killing these mobs in the Delirium mechanic will increase the loot that you get. And it's indicated by the instilling bar that fills up on the bottom left of your UI right there next to your health. And if the Delirium mechanic never ends because you're jamming so much in it, you can actually manually stop it and collect your loot with the fast forward button on the bottom right side of your UI. As for the loot you can get, you'll get Simulacrum splinters. Making 300 of these will create a Simulacrum, and that will take you to the endgame activity. And you also get Instills to drop. So for the instills, there's a couple things you could do with them. If you right click on any instill, we'll pull up the instilling UI, and this you could put maps in there and steal your maps, and this will make your maps delirious, and having the monsters have a chance to drop more splinters within those maps. And you can also use this to instill your amulet, which will give you one passive node from your passive tree that you don't have to have connected to your actual build at all. It could be way out in the distance. For example, I have piercing shot over here. And by alt clicking the nodes, you can see what specific instills that node needs. And if you have too many instills, or if you have too many of the common ones and you want more of the rare ones, because that's what you need to instill your amulet, or if you want to use the rare currency for your maps, you can use the reforging bench over here to actually transform 3 of the lower common instills into the next tier of it. And you just keep doing that until you get the higher tiers or the tiers you want. So Delirium is a little different when it comes to its pinnacle boss. It's more of a pinnacle activity, and this is going to be after you collect 300 splinters, you can make that into a Simulacrum. You put that Simulacrum in the realm gate, and you go into this map right here, and this map is going to be waves. So you have to complete 15 waves to beat it, and each wave has new sets of debuffs that will put on you, and you just have to survive it. For Simulacrums, it can get a little crazy in here since it's not your traditional boss fight. It's more of like, you know, if you get surrounded by the mobs and you can't move, stuff like that's probably the scariest thing in these wave type scenarios, especially in some of the parts of the arena where it's very skinny or very small sections that you have to fight a bunch of mobs. During the waves, there's a chance of a mini boss spawning at the later stages of the waves. So first, you got Omniphobia, and he's just like a melee dude. He's got like a leap slam that he'll do to you. He's got some big cleave attacks, and he's got like a big throw thing that he like charges up and throws up like big red balls at you. Then you got Kosis, where he's more of a caster, where he's got a frost beam ability as well as some frost balls that he'll put in the arena that will freeze you if you're standing on top of him, so don't do that. He'll also throw his swords at you, and they're just going to keep spinning like going in your direction, so run away from those. He has like a backstab teleport where he'll just appear behind you and slam on the ground sometimes, where he does like a big frost AoE blast. He also has like a fireball attack that he will do randomly where he just, you know, casts fireballs at you. Alright, Ritual is next, and in Ritual, the big item you want to fight the Pinnacle boss is going to be the Audience with the King, and you can also get Omens that you could put in your inventory, and right-clicking these Omens will make them glow red, and they'll help you do different things, like making it more deterministic when you're using your crafting currency, and, you know, different things like not taking as much XP loss when you die. And for your Atlas map, the Ritual is going to be indicated by the red logo with the bull skull. And once you're in a ritual map, there'll be ritual altars. Before interacting with the ritual altar, you want to kill the mobs around the altar, and then you want to interact with it, respawning all those mobs, as well as spawning a mechanic that's going to be trying to kill you at the same time the mobs are trying to kill you. While you're killing all the monsters in the ritual, you'll be getting currency for ritual specific items, and these items will be on the tainted ritual altar. So you'll click on the altar to look at the items, and there's a chance of there being omens there as well. These omens are really rare, especially the Audience of the King. But once you find that Audience of the King, that's when you go to the Pinnacle boss. If you can't afford the item at the moment, you can always defer the item, making it cheaper and guaranteeing that it's going to show up in a future ritual. Alright, so you farmed out the Audience of the King. Now you can put in the Realm Gate and do the Audience of the King, King of the Mist fight. And the King of the Mist, he'll basically do all the same mechanics he did in the campaign in Act 1, where he has his Slam AoE that's indicated by when he glows red. He'll do his little thorn spray where he does a frontal of thorns that shoots out at you. And then he'll also do, you know, he'll spawn a little totem that you want to kill immediately so you don't take extra damage. Then he still has his curses, and if it's the purple curse, that's the one where you have to continuously move, otherwise you'll get stunned. And then if it's the red curse, it's the opposite where you don't want to move at all, otherwise you'll get stunned if you move too much. And he'll also at some points go into the top parts of the arena where he's doing something with these totems here. Just make sure you're going up there and killing those totems. Once you get the boss down to 1/4 of his health, he's going to teleport you to a maze. Within this maze, you got to find the exit before you die. To do this, you want to follow the little blue wisp dudes. When following one, they'll take you only so far and then they'll disappear, but you should be able to see another wisp and go to that one and just continue this trend until you find the exit. Some of the pathways can be hard to see and you won't have a map to help you navigate through this either. So when you're done with the maze, phase 2 is going to start and the boss is going to transform and get all his health back, adding a bunch of new mechanics. He's going to be doing the same curses, but these are going to stay on you longer. And he'll do this big fly ball thing that he'll shoot down on you when the fly ball explodes. It's going to leave little purple zits that will explode if you walk on top of them. There will be a rat tornado that will chase you throughout the rest of the fight. And there'll be waves of blood that will shoot through the arena as well. And you also want to look out for the waves of flies that shoot out through the middle of the arena, and then the poison frogs that will spawn, and after jumping around a few times, they'll explode. So in this fight, you want to really pay attention to the curses and get out of that maze as fast as you can. Those curses, if you get stunned in them, it could just be your death because you're stunned for like 5 seconds, and it is devastating. Hopefully this guide was able to help you in any sort of way. If it did, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.